Good evening. I am the spokesperson for kind of a more unity that doesn't really exist. We had some very interesting discussions. I must say before I begin that the process, it was a fascinating educational experience. Sometimes I ask myself what I do in this institute, and I say that in my opinion the most important issue is education, is learning. I began to work on the topic of integrating the ultra-Orthodox community in the system in general, especially after the issue of the Tal law was raised. And I must say that when I began this fascinating journey, I was very unknowledgeable, and I had very firm opinions, very Tel Aviv-styled opinions. I lived a completely secular life. And throughout this fascinating process of joint education that spent during long evenings together, we learned to understand we not only got to know each other, but we began to understand the complexity of this issue. Today, I have a much clearer picture of the issue that I would like to present tonight. There's a contradiction here because I'm supposed to present it clearly, but the situation is not clear. It's not simple. It requires quite a bit of thought. But our main conclusion is that this has to be studied in depth. We have to become familiar with the material and realize that we are talking about people. This is an issue. These are issues between brothers, and that is, I think that is the main topic that I would like to speak about over the next few minutes. We deliberated how this is related to issues of national security, and I would like to draw your attention to the last sentence in this slide. We believe that integrating the ultra-Orthodox community in Israeli society is one of the greatest challenges for structuring the character of Israeli society for the future. We are now at a junction of three different issues. Some are explicit, but some are implicit, but sometimes they are exposed. There are questions of their position, of the ultra-Orthodox positions and opinions, where they want to go, how they see their society evolving. The issue of what is called sharing the burden. Although our society is not equal in any way, which we are all aware of, these are still real expectations. But there is another issue that is a real concrete issue that talks about the concrete topic of what is necessary for the IDF, including national security considerations, which we considered in these deliberations. A few words about the ultra-Orthodox society. Well, I would like to emphasize it is not a homogeneous community. Each person has different opinions, different ideas. They obviously do have certain characteristics in common, but from the outside, the community might appear as a uniform, homogeneous community, but I would like to say that it is going through significant changes. We're talking about a community, a sector, a group of people that today is approximately 12.5% of the Jewish population of Israel, and in approximately 20 years, based on the 5% natural growth per year, they will be 25% of Israel's Jewish population. Think of that in social and economic terms, but in political terms as well. One of the main issues that is characteristic of this sector is low average income. The rule of thumb that approximately 6,000 shekels per family is the income, which is approximately half of the income for a a non-Orthodox for a non-Orthodox ultra-Orthodox household. This is a challenge that they are facing that we must face as well. This is part of the problem is improving involvement in the workforce, especially amongst men of which 45% are employed, compared to approximately 80% of non-ultra-Orthodox. The fact that we are talking about the low participation in the workforce is reflected in approximately 12 billion shekels per year. We're talking about a cutback of 3 to 4 billion shekels in the security budget. Here we're talking about 12 billion shekels annually, that by creating employment opportunities can make a huge change can have a huge impact on our national economy. And on the topic of our conference specifically, the issues of recruiting ultra-Orthodox men. There are approximately 8,000. There will be approximately 15,000 by 2025. I would like to point out something that you might not all be aware of. There are ultra-Orthodox men who are recruited to the army, not only in the special division, but in various divisions, IDF divisions as well. Over the past years, the number has grown and has grown has multiplied by 5 since 2007. The increase is small, but it is clear. It is significant. These numbers are not only reflected in the ultra-Orthodox community, not in the military aspects, but also in social areas. If we look on the right, the increase in the number of ultra-Orthodox academic students who study general studies in mixed universities has grown from 3,000 to 7,350, and we can see also a significant increase in employment among ultra-Orthodox men. It is a great increase, but still not large, and still has not reached a large enough scale. We can also see a significant increase in the number of people who do not serve in the army. When the state was first established, it was 400 people who did not serve. And now we're talking about over 50,000 people who should have been recruited but were not. And we believe that this number must change. On this topic, we began to discuss about last year. The issue of the Tal law was raised when it was rejected by the High Court of Justice. The Pletzner conference was held to discuss alternatives. He is here to present his perspective on this issue. There is now a committee on this topic led by Knesset member Yaakov Perry. We don't know exactly what the outline for the program is, but we know that the highlights of the program based on the coalition agreement. The idea, one of the proposals, is to connect the world of Jewish law to the world of democracy. We must use the right terminology. Those who are permanent Torah scholars, there are issues of age, different concepts of service, and enforcement. How do we create incentives and enforce the laws that require all of those who should serve that they do indeed serve? If we look in the second column, on our comments in the second column, we believe that the plans that were presented by the committee and in the coalition plan, the coalition agreement, can be implemented and should be implemented. It's not clear how exactly it will work. There are several questions that must be raised, and we have to find their expression. They must be expressed in future legislation. The question is how many people we are talking about. We believe that their institutes must take responsibility, who will be recruited and what to do if they do not meet the numbers. And we think that the next issue is the most important. We want to see gradual implementation. We want to see a clear increase in ultra-Orthodox recruits, the direction must change, the trends must change. We want to emphasize the right balance between incentives on the one hand and sanctions, mostly systematic in the yeshivas and the places of education. We want to make an extra emphasis on the top issues of civil service, of national service. National service must be voluntary and not mandatory. Another point is that we must consider other sectors. If we reach the point that 33% of ultra-Orthodox men are full-time Torah scholars, we will see we'll see developments in other service segments in which that must be considered. The number of special units will increase. Giora Island mentioned it during our last conference. The Shachar program that will require the IDF to make the adjustments necessary to recruit the ultra-Orthodox men, and a program that will recruit potential volunteers for civil service in the police force and in the fire and as firefighters. We can create a balanced picture with the number of people who are recruited from the ultra-Orthodox community. We are talking about a gradual but clear increase in the recruit rates. We have to consider combined service, which is much more problematic for the IDF. We have to consider how to incorporate the ultra-Orthodox men in mixed units, and where they'll have to deal with many other complex issues. I don't want to talk about the civil guard at this time, but that will provide solutions for non-military service, and we would like to continue by emphasizing that this is an important value to the IDF, that IDF will have to deal with these issues, that they must recruit the number of soldiers, of ultra-Orthodox soldiers that we would like to see in the army. We would like to see women serving. These are issues that the IDF will have to resolve, and they are not simple. There's another point that we would like to emphasize is that the solution will not be resolved if we focus only on recruiting the community to military service. This is only a basis for a change, not for an overall change in both employment and education. We believe that this topic requires an official comprehensive approach that includes military service, education, and employment. These three issues can change the topic from its foundations, but this requires multi-channel discussions and meetings. We have to overcome fear both on the ultra-Orthodox side and from the secular perspectives. We must work together as a unified nation. So our recommendations are as follows. We believe that there is a problem, but is now time to transform the problem into an opportunity. We believe that this is an excellent opportunity for the State of Israel, for the Israeli society, and all of its sectors. We believe that this is not only a problem of military service, it is an overall issue that includes employment and education. I would like to specifically emphasize the issues of employment. It is important to accelerate the process of change, so that the ultra-Orthodox society will become an inseparable part of the Jewish nation. There are changes and adjustments that will have to be made in the IDF. This is a costly project. But we have to consider how Israel invested in the 1950s, and when the and the wave of immigration from the former Soviet Union, how we succeeded in these enormous projects. We believe that we can be successful in this issue as well. I would like to end by mentioning that there are other serious problems as well that have to be considered, that have to be greatly considered, because, as I mentioned before, this is all part of the challenge for the state of Israel and Israeli society for the years to come. I'll give the microphone back to Pnina.